Welcome to my review of the basics of classification. If you've forgotten the information we've already learned or were absent from class, this video should help refresh your memory. Classification is, essentially, a scientific word for sorting. For example, we can take this group of shapes and sort them into smaller and smaller groups based on their characteristics. There are many ways to do this, but in this example, the shapes have been sorted into two major categories, big and small. You'll notice that each of those groups is further divided into two smaller groups, such as curved and angular. This process is continued until each group contains one shape. When scientists use this process to sort organisms, it's called classification. The first scientist to classify organisms was Aristotle. He lived in ancient Greece and sorted organisms into large groups, such as plants, mammals, reptiles, and insects. Much later, a Swedish scientist named Carolus Linnaeus expanded Aristotle's system to incorporate a naming system for every known organism. This system is called taxonomy. The only difference between classification and taxonomy is that taxonomy includes naming organisms. The system for naming organisms is called binomial nomenclature. Bi means two, nomial means name, and nomenclature means a system of naming. As you might imagine, binomial nomenclature provides a two-word name for each different species of organism. We have many common names for organisms, but there's only one scientific name for each. These names are written in either Latin or Greek, so they may sound a bit funny to you, but every scientist in the world can recognize these names to mean a specific organism. The names are also written so that the first word is capitalized and the second is lowercase. To aid in classifying organisms, scientists have developed 8 levels, or taxa. Each level consists of smaller groups than the previous one. The 8 levels are domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. The domain level consists of 3 large groups, but the kingdom level consists of 6 smaller groups. This pattern continues all the way to the species level, but each different species is its own group. Once sorted into groups all the way to the species level, an organism is given its scientific name, which is made from the genus and species levels of that organism's taxonomy. Here's an example of the taxonomy for the brown bear. In the domain Eukarya, there are 4 to 10 million different species, but when you sort those species into kingdoms, you'll find about 2 million in the animal kingdom. About 50,000 of those animals have a spinal cord, and about 5,000 of those species are mammals. About 270 different species of mammals are carnivores, and only 8 of those belong in the family Ursidae, which includes organisms with large bodies, stocky legs, long snouts, shaggy hair, short tails, and claws. Of those 8 species, only 4 are in the genus Ursus, which includes organisms whose feet are flat on the ground while walking and have huge molars. The brown bear is the only bear in the genus Ursus with a massive skull and long claws that are less curved than other bears, so its species is given the name Ursus arctos. When scientists come across an unfamiliar organism, they use a tool called a dichotomous key to help identify its species. Dichotomous keys consist of pairs of descriptive statements. You select one out of the pair that is true of the organism you're looking at, and it leads you to another pair of statements. You follow the same process until you reach the organism's scientific name. Here's an example using candy. While looking at this piece, work through the dichotomous key. The candy is chewy, so we move to statement pair number 2. The candy is wrapped, so we move to statement pair number 3. The candy is rounded, so we move to statement pair number 4. The wrapper is all white, which leads us to the scientific name Saltus taffinea. Using the same dichotomous key, we can look at a different piece of candy. This candy is hard, so we move to statement pair number 7. The candy is not spherical, so we move to statement pair number 9. The wrapper tells the flavor, which leads us to the scientific name Joyous Rancheria.
Created using Powtoon.